This is what you call the calm before the storm. Time to pour some concrete. Welcome back, everybody. Well, it's about 4:15 on Friday morning. Concrete guys should be rolling in here about 4:30, and the pump truck as well. And then we're expecting concrete around 5 o'clock. So we got a lot to do today. But hey, my work's finished. I'm gonna leave it up to them now. Well, we got a little daylight now. They went around first and filled all the footers up. And then they're pretty well about 3/4 of the way through the garage right now, and then they'll work their way over into the house. But as for right now, forms seem to be holding up all right. Well, I forgot to put my guess in the video earlier this morning, but I'm thinking we're going to have 98 yards of concrete. I calculated it the other day and want to make sure I give him a big enough number, and I think I figured it at 110, but I was figuring my footer's too heavy. But anyway, 98 yards is my guess. We'll see how close I am when we get done. We got it all on the ground. Now we sit back and wait. They're getting their trowel machines tuned up. Let it settle a bit more and they'll get going. Well, we got a place to ride a bicycle now. It ended up taking 110 yards to fill all the footers and fill the slab because we poured everything at one time. It's a little more concrete than I wanted to buy, but hey, that's what it took to fill it up. But in where we're standing right now, we're in the garage, and then there will be an enclosed breezeway going into the house. I went ahead and had them to seal the garage floor and I've left the breezeway and the house unsealed at this point. We don't know exactly what we're going to do on the floors. We don't know if we'll do some kind of stain on the floor in there or put some kind of floor covering over it. So we just left that unfinished for the time being. I'm going to try my best to keep muddy feet off of it, but you know how that goes, it probably won't happen. After they sealed the floor, they left for 3 or 4 hours and give it time to set up, and then they come back and went ahead and sawed the floor. They pretty much cut it up in a 10 by 10 grid, and I went ahead and had them do the breezeway and the house as well. Hopefully we can control those cracks, and it'll crack in that joint instead of across the middle of the floor. Now I went ahead and marked out the locations for my garage doors, and they went ahead and cut me some tapers in here for where my garage doors will sit, so that way when the door goes down, the water and the wind come this direction. So when they hit these doors, they'll go down and hit this slab, and they've got that fall created, so that'll get that water shed away from the garage floor. I used a 4500 mix on this concrete, and some may say that's a little overkill for a residential slab, but I wanted it to be as strong as I could get it without just going crazy from a money standpoint. But when you look at like a 4000 and a 4500, there's not much difference in the money. But if you don't know anything about concrete, and I'm definitely no concrete expert by far, but concrete, there's a ratio to make it. You've got so many parts gravel, sand, and cement. And so when you look at a 3000 mix versus, in my case, a 4500, they're substituting sand for cement. So you get more, as I'd say it, you get more glue in it. It's stuff that'll hold it together versus the sand taking up space. But anyway, that's the reason I went with it. I want to try to get as strong a slab here for as cost effectively as I can do it. Now, I've used these guys to pour concrete for me in the past, and they've done several jobs for me, and they always do me a good job. So they've got the equipment, they've got the manpower, they got the knowledge on how to finish concrete, so they've done me an excellent job. But let's look and see what kind of job the form boy did. Now, there's a little bit of cream up on top of the batter board, so it's kind of hard to tell, but everything held straight and true here. We'll look down the right-hand side of the house. Everything looks pretty good there. Let's go back here and check the garage and see how it turned out. Now we're looking down the back wall of the garage here. Man alive, look how straight that is. You ever heard the old expression, straight as a gun barrel? Well, actually, it's moments like this when I sit and ask myself the question, why in the world would you ever video your work and put it on the internet for the whole world to see? But I'm kind of embarrassed to show you this, but if I don't, I'd be a little bit of a hypocrite. So here we go. Does anybody see a problem with that? Well, it looks a little bit like me. It's got a little belly on it. The back wall moved on me. Well, that's not exactly what you want to see when you spend as much time and effort to try to make it right. But when we were pouring it and I saw that it moved, I was a little puzzled, because there's one little place over there on the corner that pushed on me a little bit, which it's no big deal. But everything else held true, and I'm sitting there puzzled on why in the world did this wall push the way it pushed. And when I was talking to the finisher in between trucks, he said, Travis, you did have a lot of rain. We were supposed to pour this on Monday. And Sunday evening about 7 o'clock, I mean, it came torrential downpours here. And I probably had 2 or 3 inches of water in this footer back here. And a couple days later, it hit and did the same thing. And so when we poured the concrete, this soil was just saturated where I had my stakes drove. And it was just essentially in mud at that point. And so it allowed it to move. But, the old hindsight's 20/20. I should have went back and rechecked all my pins after it had rained as much as it had. But you live and you learn, and the time in the saddle. Maybe one of these days when my boy builds a house, I'll go back and say, listen, it rained quite a bit. You might ought to check your pins and make sure they're still secured. But you live and you learn. But hey, it's fixable. What I'll do is, where it pushed me out, I'll flip a line down this back wall. I'm actually going to saw that line, and that way when I frame it and I put my sheathing on, it'll be flush with the exterior of my slab, and that way I can get a good seal in between the slab and the sheathing right there at that sole plate, so we can get that the way I want it. The rest of it, where I chip that top corner off, the rest of it will be underground level, so you'll never see it. So no harm, no foul, just add a little bit of extra work. But hey, if you're pouring concrete and your forms are set and you get those kind of rains and it saturates your ground, go back and check your stakes and make sure they're secure. Well, I'm glad to have this behind me. Let's just hope that all my pipes are in the right place. But I'm gonna meet the framer up here today. We got some materials coming in a couple days, and hopefully we'll stand some walls up here before long. But hey, if you watch this one, I appreciate it. Hey, we'll see you later.